Okay, hello, fight fans. Welcome to your Cage Warriors Academy 38 review show with me, Mark Heath, and promoter, coach, all-round legend, Jack Mason, the busiest man in the building on the night. Jack, reflecting on the show about a week ago now, recording this on Good Friday, 31 fights, a lot of decisions, some insane fights on there, some big finishes as well, with the benefit of almost a week to recover from it. How do you reflect on it, first of all, before we start talking about the fights?
Well, just blown away with the level of talent now in the region. You know, we say it's a cliche. The fights just get better and better, but honestly, this event, the level of competition on the show was just unrivaled. You know, there's some absolute superstars being developed within the region. And I can see a lot of these going on to be sort of world beaters. So very, very impressed with all of the teams that are involved in the show. You know, they support the show for a long time. And you can just see iron sharpens iron, and these guys fighting each other just at amateur level is just producing these absolute monsters. So massive testament to the teams involved and obviously the fighters. But, you know, the coaches have a huge part to play in that. So all the guys from Essex MMA, from GB Top Team, obviously BKK, there's Combat Institute, there's just it's a world class of talent being created in the southeast.
You've obviously been involved with the sport for a long time, as a fighter and a coach. How does it compare now when you see these athletes coming through as amateurs? Because all of them seem to live the life.
It's night and day.
Totally dedicated, yeah.
It's night and day. You know, when I was competing, you know, the level of amateur competition is just, you know, as I say, it's night and day. These guys train like professionals. They have nutritionists, they have strength and conditioning coaches, they have mind coaches, they have, a lot of them are fully sponsored up. They've got, they're doing 2 sessions a day. They have all of their training laid out, and these guys are doing this from, you know, teenagers. So, you know, that type of preparation just builds incredible talents. And we honestly, I don't know about anywhere else in the world, but if the UK are developing talent like this, we're going to be absolute world beaters in the future, in the next few years.
Yeah, it truly is scary, isn't it? The talent that's coming through, very good indeed. In terms of the card itself, as I say, 31 fights. There were a lot of decisions on the card, and normally, as a fight fan or someone who consumes fights, you see a lot of decisions and you think it's a bit. Because obviously, normally you watch fights for finishes, but on this card, I thought there was really just a sign of how well matched all the fights were. Because I don't think there was a bad fight on the card. They were just incredibly well matched and back and forth, good fights to watch.
Yeah, I touched on this last time I talked, but like it's testament to the coaches and the teams involved and the fighters. You know, they fight elsewhere and maybe build their confidence up and records, but when they come to fight in this event, every fight's a 50-50 matchup. They know what they're getting into. They are there to test themselves against the very best, and it's, as I said, testament to the teams involved, and you don't get that type of competition anywhere else. It's a real like treat for all the fans of the sport, just to see these high level athletes just competing against one another. So very happy with the way, you know, we've been matching. Very happy with the way that it's been well received by the teams involved, because they know that they come here to test themselves, but also make sure that they're ready to go professional. You know, if they can become a champion on the Cage Warriors Southeast show, they know that they are ready, you know, or well on their way to being ready to go into a flourishing sort of pro career. So it's great to see, and it's a pretty special event and great for the fans.
Yeah, well, and let's start talking about some of these fights. And I guess it makes sense to start with the main event. We had 2 pro fights on the card. The main event was Christian Young making his his professional debut at flyweight against Yanis Osmani, who was also making his professional debut. Now, obviously, preparing for this for comms, you look at the opponent that Christian's facing, and I thought, crikey, that's a tough opponent for a first pro fight, because Osmani is a seriously good Muay Thai striker. I mean, I fell down a bit of a rabbit hole watching his Thai fights over in Thailand. Very, very impressive striker, and clearly every fight starts on the feet. So there's going to be some having to come through the fire for Christian to get it to the floor, which is, you'd imagine, where he wanted it. And Julie, he got dropped basically with the first punch. Went through a low kick, got hit with a left hand, got dropped, got back up, got hit with an elbow, Muay Thai style, from Osmani. And then as he looked to get the takedown, he also got fed a knee right to the face from the plum clinch as well. So in terms of adversity for your pro debut, Christian Young's right in the thick of it. He does then manage to get the takedown and works through it. But certainly a testing opening few seconds of a pro career.
Yeah, I mean, this is it. Like Christian has proven himself to be, obviously, as our flyweight champion, he's been proven himself to be, one of the best prospects in Europe, and he's built a real fan base. He's a bit of a superstar, especially in the local area, and he's tough as they come, and he's always wanting new challenges. And again, this, James Webb is another coach of the same mindset. That these opponents have to be there to be able to, obviously at the right time, but be there to test the fighters as well, and so that they're going to, they know they can be confident, go on and have a great career. And Christian's the same, like, again, very tough opponent. Did have to fight through adversity where Yanis looked pretty sharp on the feet. Yeah, and we really. Looked like he almost was finishing the fight, but Christian just showed how tough he is and come through. And then, he finished. Yeah, he finished Yanis pretty decisively after having to battle through the fire. So proves how much of a superstar he's going to be.
That's just it. So he gets the fight to the floor. Obviously, a high-level grappler is Christian. We've seen that in his amateur fights. Enjoys landing those elbows he can throw on the ground now. Cuts Osmani up, blood everywhere. And then finishes him with the guillotine choke in the first round. So on paper, you look back at that and it'll be first round submission win, but it doesn't quite tell the full story of the fight. No. As a pro debut, I'd imagine as a fighter, you want the perfect pro debut is walking out there, getting the first round stoppage, dominating. But is it actually good for a fighter to have to come through that fire as well? Because certainly in your whole career, you're going to have to obviously.
Yeah. Any times where you can learn from something is always good. Whether it's in a win or a loss. But I think he's learned a lot about himself as well, because we've seen it time and time again, but there are some fighters that quit when the adversity comes. And this is why I love the sport. It's not it just teaches you a lot about yourself. And it's very raw. Like Christian will know in himself now when the going gets tough, he's going to keep fighting through it, and he's proving it to himself and proving it to everyone else. So yeah. And as you say, he's got the fan base, super popular, charismatic guy, good backing story as well. Obviously had that horrible leg injury, which at one point looked like he might never be able to fight again. Broke his leg really badly in training. Has worked his way back through that, turned pro, and now starts with a submission win in the first round. How far do you think he can go, Christian? Well, I think he's got a huge fan base, and very talented. So I think there's no reason why he can't go all the way.
Superb.
Excellent. Going to be interesting to see him develop.
Absolutely. As he tries to round out that game. I know he's working on his striking. He's doing a lot of boxing. He's certainly come a long way in that regard. So it'll be interesting to follow him, as you say. The co-main event was another pro fight at 130 pounds, a catch weight between Rinchin Griffiths-Gola and Fabio De Luca. I would say this was a professional kind of smothering style performance from Rinchin, who took the unanimous decision. A lot of takedowns, kind of imposing his will on De Luca, who had his moments on the feet, but unfortunately couldn't kind of stay on his feet long enough. And Griffiths-Gola kind of steamrolled his way to a unanimous decision win, really, Jack.
Rinchin's from did a lot of training at Diesel Gym, and they've got some really high level guys. I can't remember the name off the top of his head, but off the top of my head, but the guy that won the Cage Warriors tournament at featherweight, featherweight or bantamweight, but he where he had to do 2 fights in one night, and he was very similar style. So they've got a great ground game, great wrestling game, and I was expecting a lot of that from Rinchin anyway. He was giving up quite a bit of experience from against Fabio, although Fabio sort of had a couple of years out, and Richie's really sort of started his pro career. So again, I think great fight. Good for Richie to get some rounds in with like a high level experience competition, and yeah, I'm excited to see what he does next. Rinchin and then Krista in the same weight class, both ground fighters. So that could be a potential matchup in the future as well.
Very interesting. So Rinchin moves to 3-1 with the win. Fabio drops to 5-3. And then we had 6 title fights as well, just below this on the card. And it makes sense to run through those. I want to start, obviously, with what could potentially be the fight of the year. There was a crazy fight in the interim bantamweight title fight between Lilian Pavlichet and Michael Fong Sung. So Lilian walks in, Essex MMA fighter. He's 2-0. First 2 fights he's won devastating in the first round. I don't think either got out 30 seconds. But he's fighting another unbeaten guy, Michael Fong Sung, who comes in 4-0. And Pavlichet gets dropped in the first round, and it's close to being stopped twice. He gets his nose completely busted. There's blood everywhere, all over the cage, like a murder scene in there. Probably the most blood I've seen at a fight live for a long time. But then Lilian, again, as we've talked with Christian, comes through the fire. He finds a way to get back into the fight, and it's back and forth. He's pushing Michael back, and there's submission attempts. There's everything you want in a fight. It's back and forth. There's a real bloody narrative to it. It was a tremendous fight, and in the end, Lilian gets his hand raised and lifts the title. What did you make of this one, Jack? Because this was an absolute cracker.
I was watching it backstage, and I can see, it's obviously really bloody. I saw sort of Lilian. I think he was trapped in a triangle, and he was picking the guy up, trying to slam him, and it was an incredible fight. Those guys both just left it all out there, and they're both, they both showed some real, some real like grit and determination, and some like great skill sets as well. Very, very interested to see both of them fight again. And just a fantastic fight. I think fight of the night, and like can't really. There's not much more to say. It was at a very high level, and a showcase of grit and determination from both of them. So love to see them both fight again.
Everything that's good about MMA in that fight, the overcoming adversity, heart, courage, skill, determination, fantastic it was. Lilian comes out with his hand raised, and I think it was the majority decision, wasn't it? Yeah, because one of the cards was a draw, given that big first round for Michael. Absolutely, if you haven't seen that fight yet, as soon as that fight is released, make sure you go and watch it on our YouTube channel, because it's a cracker. You won't see a better amateur fight, I don't think, anywhere this year. Absolute barn burner of a fight. In terms of other fights, title fights, also there was another Essex MMA guy who won a title on this card, Taran Padda, who won the flyweight title, the one that Christian used to hold before turning pro. He won with a first round knockout of Kieran Heffernan, another good opponent. So Taran came in 3-0. Heffernan was 4-1. And again, just like with Lilian, we've seen with Taran, he's got some serious power, and he gets the first round stoppage in this one, which is a big scalp, because Kieran got some experience. He scored some big KOs of his own as well, Kieran. So again, another real talent coming through at Essex MMA in Taran.
They do some great things at Essex MMA, and the fight was great. Obviously, a short one, but Taran, showcases like crisp striking, very fast, very explosive, very powerful, and drops him, and then it was some brutal ground and pound to finish. So very excited to see what he does next as well.
We'll come back.
real prospects in the camp. Yeah,
Absolutely. Some very heavy-handed prospects as well in Taran and Lillian. So we'll
Mm.
come back to Essex MMA because they had a perfect night. They won all of their fights.
Yeah.
But just sticking with the title fights, I'm going to come to your guy now, Ben Edwards, who reclaimed his amateur welterweight title in what was one hell of a test, Jack. So Ben comes in 6-1, but he's facing off against Ben Hodgson, who is unbeaten, 5-0-1, and all 5 of those wins had come by submission. And they weren't just a lot of times with submission guys, you see they have one go-to submission, but Ben had multiple submissions that he'd won by. And as soon as this fight hits the floor, he looks on a choke, and it's like, oh, here we go. And Nick sitting next to me was going, he's just got to stay calm. He's just got to stay calm as he's rolling. And he did. I mean, we know obviously Ben's got a huge fight IQ, but that must have been a worrying moment for you in the corner, Jack.
No.
Okay.
No, not really. No, because so we knew that Ben was very good with his chokes.
Yeah.
But as am I and a few others in the gym, and you know, I know that if I'm grappling, I put my hands around someone's neck and arms, and get my hands anywhere near, I can finish lots of chokes, and we've been drilling what to do in those situations a lot, and Ben has got really, really good at defending those positions. So we were very confident that even if Ben did lock his hands up, that we'd be able to survive and work a way out. The plan was to not let him be able to get his hands around his neck.
Yeah.
but he was very slick again in there. But in the choke, we were very confident that Ben knew what to do and find a way and a route to escape. So obviously it's a precarious situation, but we were very confident in Ben's skill set and ability to escape that.
Yeah, we could see as he's rolling towards us on comms, he was incredibly calm. He wasn't panicking in any way, and obviously he manages to work his way through it. Then goes on and gets the win by unanimous decision and moves to 7-1. Ben is a real prospect, isn't he? From what I've seen of him, he lives a life. He's incredibly well rounded. He can fight a multiple way. He can make it scrappy if it needs to be. He can be technical if it needs to be. Very well rounded. What can you say about him as a fighter?
Well, his striking's getting better and better. He's got the perfect work ethic. I was boxing this morning. And he came in on Wednesday to help with someone that's potentially fighting next week. To be a body for them. He's already back on his PTs with his boxing coach. I think he probably had a day off, and then he's back in the gym and working on everything that he needs to improve for the next one. So you can't, the guy's got everything really. He's got incredible work ethic, lots of talent. He's tough. He's got great fight IQ, and he can really fight, and he really wants to do it. So there's not much more you could ask from him. He gives everything. So I really wanted, I expected him to do exceptionally well in his career. He can achieve anything he wants to. So, a real world beater in, a real prospect for in that regard. So yeah, excited.
So he's 7-1 now. So that's a fantastic amateur record. We've seen him in all sorts of different fights against all sorts of different opponents as well. How far do you think he is off in terms of turning over and maybe thinking about being a professional?
I think he could turn over and be a professional now. But I would like to see him have a few more different tests and gain a few more, a little bit more experience before he does that. Because there's a lot of guys, especially the guys in France, they're having like 20, 30 amateur fights now, and they get really, really, really good. Like Ben's very good. I would there's a few more scenarios I'd like to see him sort of overcome. I think at an amateur before he really embarks in his pro career. but I don't think it's too far off.
Mm.
But definitely no need to rush. He's super young.
Yeah,
and only getting better and better.
Okay, so Ben Edwards, remember that name. The other 3 title
Yep.
fights, to mention those as well, we had Harrison Coventry beating Yassine El Mahdi for the European bantamweight title. That was impressive, actually. Again, look at the record, so well matched. So Harrison came in 9-2. Yassine is 8-3-1, or was 8-3-1. Former champion as well in the show, on the show. Harrison gets it done with a second round triangle finish, and he's another guy who's got a lot of subs. So impressive win for Harrison, Jack.
Yeah. Yassine El Mahdi is from the Hacker team in Italy. Very good team. He also does a lot of training at GB Top Team. Yassine's very exciting. I really enjoy watching him fight. He's very exciting.
Yeah.
Very well rounded as well. So for Harrison to come in and do that to Yassine is pretty special. I think he's from a great gym down in Plymouth. He bought a ton of fans for coming from Plymouth as well. So
that's a long trip.
Yeah. And he sort of trains with Kate Jackson, who is had some great lots of places and Bellator and stuff, and is a very good fighter herself. And they come from a very strong grappling background. So I knew that Harrison was going to have very good grappling, but very impressive. Excited to, love to have him back. Very excited to see what we can do next.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on then, Adibachui defended his lightweight title. He moved to 6-0 with a unanimous decision win over Kadre Dene. We've seen Kadre a lot, and he's been. I mean, he's absolutely gigantic at 155. He's fought at welterweight as well. Ada, as we've seen, is a grinder. He will grapple you, put you on the floor, and he'll kind of impose your will on him. And that's what he did here, because Kadre clearly on the feet, he's huge. He's a very dangerous striker. So Ada decided wisely that the best route to victory there was to put him on his back and beat him up.
Yeah, well, Kadre's again, he's a bit of a fan favorite. I enjoy watching him fight.
If
you give him the opportunity, he's going to knock you out on the feet. And that's it. Ada did what he needed to do to nullify that game and grind out that win. So again, he's unbeaten. I think he's at the Fight Star Championship. He's our current champion, so I expect to see him go on to onto a pro career pretty soon. I think very good fighter, still at university, I think. And he's working on his sort of other career and stuff as well. So smart guy, and excited to see what he does next.
And then the final, or the first fight on this card in terms of title fights, was European title at featherweight between Benjamin Adozi from Great Britain Top Team and Corentin Perutel. Again, very well matched on the records. Benjamin coming in 7-1. Corentin was 8-4. But this guy Adozi is a serious talent, isn't he? I know we're talking about all sorts of talent, but he is tremendous. 6'2" as a featherweight, can do it all. Yeah. He was on his way, I thought, to a fairly comprehensive points win in this fight. And Nick, sitting next to me, was going, I'd like to see him try and finish the fight. Let's see if he can get the finish, because of all those wins he's got, not many have been finishers. And he duly does. He gets a third round Darce choke, mounted Darce choke finish. This guy looks like he could be a scary prospect.
Well, I don't even think he's been training that long as well.
Right. Yeah.
He seems to have emerged on the scene, and he's been very active. Emerged on the scene sort of over the last year or so, or the last couple of years, and he's just getting better and better. And obviously trains with a really great team, a GB Top Team, and I think, he does his sort of, I think it's G1 striking. He does. I think he's a very special talent, and I know he's been up and down the country as well, fighting on loads of different shows again, getting lots of experience. So potential superstar there.
Absolutely,
and especially if you keep going.
Yeah, and that featherweight division with us, Jack, there's a lot of good fighters in there. Obviously, Benjamin, there's Jacob, his gym mate, Jacob Gifford.
Yeah,
there's Mason Kinsella as well. And I know they're all mates, and we probably won't see them fight. But I mean, there's three names there who could be.
Well, yeah, that's it. So Jacob and Ben train together, so they won't ever fight.
Yeah.
Jacob and Mason train together and have known each other since kids, so they won't ever fight.
Yeah.
So I think what we're going to try and do for the summer event is Mason Kinsella versus Ben Nadozi. So
wow.
That we actually tried to make it for this event. Mason got a shoulder injury, which took him out, unfortunately. But I think they both want to do the fight, so I'd like to see that. This is the two very best prospects in the UK against each other. So I'd love to see that fight and just see how each other brings that, see what they bring to the table. And I know you would think that, for instance, after Ben's constant impressive performances, that people would be not wanting to fight him. But all I hear from Mason is he wants to test himself against Ben.
Yeah.
So that's what you want to hear as a coach, and you want to see them have those tests as amateur, so that you can prove to yourself that you're ready to go professional.
Yeah, that would be a sensational fight. I mean, as someone who follows boxing, I've loved boxing my whole life. There's still a problem in boxing that people do not want to put their unbeaten record on the line. That's the complete opposite, isn't it, in MMA, particularly in this sort of fight, because that is a 50-50 fight. You can't go into that fight thinking anything other than that's 50-50. So for fighters to want to put themselves in that scenario, that's the mindset, isn't it?
Absolutely. I know that Dana White's is sort of getting into the boxing game with Saudi Arabia and Turkey, and I think that's their business model. They want to do the best boxers versus the best boxers, and I know they talk about needing to save boxing, but boxing seems to do really well, especially on the big cards. But I do think that would be a game changer. I think that would get some, having boxers have 50-50 fights all the time, more consistently, would be great. We'd love to see it.
Yeah, but you don't see it in the prospects in boxing, do you? So this kind of level, when they're still making their way as novice pros, they generally are protected until they get to a certain level, and they've still got the O, and then they have to take harder fights clearly as they move further up. But this is what you see all the time.
I don't think the layman understands the boxing model, because, as you say, it's boxers they'll sell a bunch of tickets, whatever, but they're basically fighting people that they're paying to not win. They're paying to come and do some rounds with.
Yeah.
Up till the point where they get to whatever it is, 20-0, 30-0. And then they have a couple of real fights, and then that's it. Their career's done.
Yeah.
So it's like they probably only have a handful, like maybe less than 10 real fights in their career, even if they've had whatever it is, like 50 fights. So it's a very strange model. I still don't understand it. My definition of a fight, which I think is the definition in the dictionary probably as well, is that two people are coming with the ability to win the fight.
Yeah. And
they're facing off against each other with the intention to win. And if you have one guy that's coming to win and another guy that's coming not to win, that's not a fight in my book. So I don't class those as fights.
And that's the ethos that runs through the show, isn't it? When you're looking at matching, you said to me before, if you go into a fight and you know you're going to win that fight, you're not in a fight. It's not a fight.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the way you look to match up fights. Let's move on to other fights on the card. And we've talked about prospects there. Benjamin, Christian, the Essex MMA guys, Taron and Lillian. You've also got another one, obviously Ben as well at BKK. You've also got another one at BKK with a little bit more of a background story, because Mitchell Thorp is progressing at a scary rate. I mean, obviously you can give us some insight into this. He's a guy that you may know from Karate Combat. He's fought on the Karate Combat shows. He's an unbelievable striker. Clearly, that's his background. And he's taken fights though. We saw him fight Cadre Dene, for example, which is a fight where clearly he was going to face some adversity. As a young amateur MMA prospect, he's not afraid to put himself in fights where he's going to be tested. He could just say, just put me against another striker and I'll knock him out, because that's my thing. But on this one, he won by submission, Jack, which is tremendous. I mean, in terms of development from a guy you look at and go, well, he's a striker, he's a karate guy, to then get the armbar submission on this show. And he's only, 4 fights in. This moves him to 3-1. What can you tell us about Mitchell and how quickly he's progressing as an MMA fighter as opposed to a striker?
Yeah, well, with the karate combat thing, like when karate combat first started, they were in touch with Mitchell. Mitchell was on the GB team karate, and they're doing point fighting matches, and Mitchell had never really had a real full contact fight. Yeah. And he was literally thrown in at the deep end with karate combat. They were trying to match him against guys that have had, the guy called Gabriel Vargas, who had 100, 200 Thai fights, kickboxing fights all around the world. He'd been a world champion, I think, for Glories, lots of, and they're trying to match Mitchell, who had 0 fights against these top guys. So it was very difficult. And even though with the fights that he did take, he was against guys with vastly more experience than him, and he was still beating them. Anyway, Mitchell really sees his future in mixed martial arts anyway. So that's what he's been training for. And I think, as you say, he's a super talent with in this striking. He's just working on everything else as well. He's still very young, and he is getting better at wrestling, getting better at takedown defense, getting better on the ground, as you saw on Saturday. And again, as a coach, it's a pleasure, because when in the fight on Saturday, his opponent came out, and he's an MMA fighter, but he's had a number of Thai boxing fights as well, and you could see their game plan was to take away Mitchell's movement. They started hammering in the calf kick straight away, and Mitchell's leg, even off just 2 kicks, was starting to get pretty red. And I asked, after the second kick, I asked Mitchell to switch to southpaw to take away that option for his opponent, and because Mitchell's so, you wouldn't be able to do that to a lot of fighters. Because they're not experienced, but Mitchell can fight just as well as a southpaw as an orthodox. So he just switched and took away his opponent's game plan, and then just took him apart on the feet. I thought it was a masterclass. Obviously, the guy had a very heavy hand, so Mitchell had to be very wary of that, and he was sort of in and out and changing the angles, and he was a masterclass in the striking. In the second round, obviously the guy tried to take it to the floor, was landing some big ground and pound. And again, like all we said in the corner was, there's an armbar there, Mitchell. And within a split second, he's on it. And it was, great to see, his sort of improvement and, skill set, vastly improving. And he was able to take that armbar, lock it up very tight, and he got the tap. And very excited to see how far he can go, especially if he keeps improving at the velocity he is at the moment. It's going to be it's going to be very difficult to beat him, I think.
Yeah, real statement though, winning by submission, and he almost tapped Cadre, didn't he? Last fight, he was almost close to a Hail Mary submission in that fight. It must be a real joy for you though as a coach, Jack, because it's human nature, isn't it? When you're good at something, I'll just do that because I'm good at it. So for Mitchell to say, no, I need to move away from that and put myself in situations where I'm not anywhere near as good to learn, that takes a special sort of mindset, doesn't it?
It does, but if it's also, if you want to go and achieve big things in the sport, you're going to have to be able to do that stuff. Yeah. So whilst I think, as you say, is in human nature, it's a lot of people will just stick to what they're good at. That's not going to cut it. in the world of mixed martial arts, and he's not going to cut it in the world of being successful. You have to be able to adapt and change and constantly improve, just in every walk of life. So I if you want to be successful, so I kind of expect it from my guys, at least, just to be constantly improving, and it's not all of them do it, but the ones that do are going on to achieve some really great things, and I think Mitchell's can be one of them.
Yeah. So Mitchell Thorp, remember that name as well. He's 3-1 now as an amateur lightweight. He wins by second round armbar here against Alessio Pignatale. Is there any, in terms of other fighters on the card, Jack? Obviously, you had a lot of BKK guys out. Is there anyone you particularly want to mention? We can run through in terms of wins. Liam Yeaman won. We had where else are we? Aidan Bailey. That was a good fight against Will Mattian from the Combat Institute, so a local derby. We had where are we? Ethan Lewis as well got a win on this card. Very well matched fight, 4-4 against 4-4. Anyone you want to highlight?
Yeah, everything was. There were so many fantastic fights. I just want to say thank you to all the teams and the coaches involved, because we can't do this without them, and they have to be. It's just testament to their mindset. They want to constantly improve. They want to see their fights being tested, and if we keep doing this, how we're doing it, we're going to be developing these future champions coming from our region, and going on to do some impressive things worldwide. So, yeah, thank you to everyone involved. I think we just create this incredible platform, and we're going to be seeing the fruits of our labour for years to come. So thank you.
One of those gyms, obviously, you've mentioned is Essex MMA, and they had a great night. They were unbeaten. So obviously, we already talked about Lillian Pavlichet and Taryn Padder winning the titles. They also had wins from Troy Sudbury, Jack Williams. That was a good fight against Sasha Giese. Mark Mansfield got a DQ win. I think that's it. But I think they were 5-0, 6-0 on the night. Just checking out missed anyone. So yeah, another gym doing good things, big things in the area.
Something in the water there. They're whatever they're doing, is working. Their team seems to be really great grapplers, but also really great strikers, and there's something in the coaching method there that's creating a team of monsters. So well done to Alan Patman and team.
Yeah, fantastic. Trying to see if there's any other fights to highlight here. There was a really good submission win by Albert Brooks on his debut. I remember 5 elements martial arts rear naked choke, which I've put submission of the night next to. I think probably Christian Young ends up maybe getting that in the main event, but that was an impressive win. And also I was really impressed with Robert Hardy from Fight City on his debut, won by unanimous decision. Looked incredibly composed though for someone making a debut. Very relaxed. So yeah, I don't know if there's anyone else you want to shout out off the card.
There's so many. There's so many. I'll give it Liam Yeaman from BKK Fighters he's improving at an incredible rate, and he just come off two wins in short space of time, and he's looking very, very good, and just once he gets his composure sorted, I think it's going to be even better. So a very high skill set, very very athletic, very fast, hits hard, but he's also got a very good ground game and wrestling game as well. So I'm excited to see what we can do in the future.
Okay, let's wrap it up then now. I must say also thanks to our sponsors, Phantom Athletics, Apex Mouthguards and Iron Imperium. We'll be back in the summer, Jack. Date TBD. That's still something you're working on. But for people who maybe haven't been to a Cage Warriors Academy show at the Charter Hall, and they're thinking about maybe now I'm gonna make it in the summer. What can they expect? What's the ethos? We've already talked about the level of talent that's coming through, but this is a place where you're going to see a lot of these guys and girls go on and make a name for themselves at the top level of the sport.
Yeah, this is firstly, it's a great night out. There's tons of entertainment, and you're going to see the highest level of MMA in Europe. And so that showcase, in itself is amazing. But what you're also going to see is some of the literally some of the superstars of the future. So, you know, you'll be able to see the next whatever, Conor McGregor, Paddy Pimblett, Ilia Topuria, you know, holding their craft, work, you know, putting in their early fights on our event. And that's, you know, you're going to be able to say you've seen them, you maybe met them, you know, already, and you'll be able to, you know, you be able to be part of their career, you know, as a supporter and a fan, and just be able to, for me, it's incredible. And you know, we're really happy with the way that we're improving the show, and it just gets better and better every time. So very excited to see for the next event. We'll be announcing the date next week. So gonna be a big one.
Okay, we'll keep an eye out for that. Come and join us in the summer. In the meantime, go back and watch all the fights from this great event, Cage Warriors Academy 38, and particularly, as we've already mentioned, the Lilian Pavlichet Michael Fong Sung fight, because that is as good of a fight as you're going to see anywhere in amateur MMA this year. Get your tickets. We'll see you at Charter Hall in the summer. Thanks for joining us. Hope you enjoyed this review show, and we'll be back with you next time.